a look at marriage and straight truth from a marriage counselor. All that and more coming up now on Joy in the City, True Stories. Joy in the City is a program highlighting people and organizations having an impact on our city. All too often, we hear about the problems and the dysfunction in our culture, but we are coming with a different approach as we take a look at the good things going on right here in our community. I'm Lindsay Irvin, and you're about to see what God is doing in our city. Pastor John and Arlene Collins lead the congregation at First Church of Christ here in Altoona. They shared with us about their marriage and what has kept it together all of these years.
Hi, thanks for being here today. We're going to talk a little bit about your marriage. So everybody kind of has a little bit of a love story. So tell me about yours.
Go ahead.
Go ahead.
No, I'll let you start.
We met in Big Stone Gap, Virginia. We lived in separate towns. He lived in Pennington Gap, Virginia. And our churches in the area used to get together for youth rallies once a month. I was 13 and he was 15, and I was smitten completely. And he loved football.
And what about you?
I was stupid for the first 4 years there, so I didn't. Yeah, she was actually singing in church, and I was just there, and I saw her. So.
Yeah, and as we got older, I did everything except throw myself in front of his car to get him to ask me out. And he never did. He never asked me out. Did you?
Funny thing is, I was a lot like Jesus then. I didn't have a car.
He did. I didn't even know he didn't have a car.
I walked everywhere, okay? So.
Yeah, I finally asked him out.
Well, I was going to say what finally got his attention.
But this was like I was in college.
Yeah.
I was in between my freshman and sophomore year in college. She was in between her junior and senior year in high school. And I was back in my hometown for the summer, and she called and invited me to a 4th of July picnic with her and her family. And
he said, "Oh, I don't know. We usually do family stuff. I'll call you back." And I was just like, "All right, that's it. I've been rejected."
Well, but my mother actually said to me, said, "John, get out from under my feet and go and have a good time with that young lady." And I will say this, I'd seen her when she was up front singing in church at 13, and then when I was in college and came back and I actually went, and we went out that first July 4th, and she was 16, 17.
Well,
she'd changed quite a bit.
I would think.
Yes. And honestly, that was the beginning, and we've been together ever since.
Yeah. And how long have you been married?
It'll be 40 years this summer.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
And he still makes my heart beat fast.
I love it.
He still makes my heart beat fast.
I love that. Yeah. Never dies.
Yeah. So it changes, but it doesn't die.
But I will say, that first date, there was a lot of things that made it really, really good. She was talking about my car. My sister let me use her Trans Am, her limited edition T-top black and gold Trans Am for that first date. And I always said that car actually got me a second date and a first kiss. So.
Nice car.
Yes, it was a nice car. Yeah.
It was a fabulous car. When my sister and I saw him drive up in that car, we went crazy.
So, 40 years later, what do you think was the most valuable thing that keeps your heart?
Honestly, even through the hard times, I never for 1 second thought he would leave me. Mm-hmm. Never. I trusted that he would stay with me even through all of my, bad times and yeah.
We had gotten together, through the ministry of the church, really. We'd known each other that way when we were younger. And then, I was in seminary or in college when we started dating. And then she had always planned to come there as a student after she graduated.
The fact that he was there didn't hurt anything.
Well, but our faith was kind of central early on. And then, of course, we both knew we were going to be in ministry in some way. So I think that, that had a lot to do with.
And you guys work together today, so how do you feel that has impacted your marriage?
It works for us. It wouldn't for everybody, but it does. I've been the secretary at the church for 11 years. 11 years. And we don't really get on each other's nerves most of the time. We don't. Yeah. Everybody has off days,
Yes.
but we get along. We enjoy being together, and we work well together.
Yeah. I'd said too that, as far as working together, and I say this jokingly, but it really is true. I tell people, it's a good thing we do get along because we're together
All the time.
24/7. We're together almost all day, and then of course in the evening and everything. So I said it's a good thing we like each other because we're together all the time. But it wouldn't work for everybody, but it's been nice for us.
What is your typical way of overcoming a conflict? Because you can't tell me you don't have conflict.
Oh, we
all-
do. We do.
I think, I think the biggest thing, and I've often said this to couples, I say, if you're kind to each other, it really will take care of most difficult conflict and problems. You know what I'm saying? It's hard to really fight with somebody or be really angry with somebody that you're kind to. So I think we really do that well.
Yeah.
We serve and care about each other, and when there's an issue or something, we maybe get mad, but we don't stay mad.
Right. We really don't. We don't stay mad. I probably stay mad longer only because I tend to go over and over and over things in my mind. But I have made it a practice to pray for him, not that he would change, but I made it a practice to pray for my husband, as my husband, not as the pastor of my church, but as my husband. And honestly, when you're praying for somebody, it's hard to stay angry with them about things. And it's easier to see the other person's point of view, I think. Yeah. And honestly, we don't have disagreements like we did early on. We have learned to get along and live together, and we know each other's idiosyncrasies, and the things that irritate me about him aren't as big anymore. They're just not as big.
And if they haven't changed in 40 years.
Yeah. You said something earlier that kind of reminded me of myself. You said how your heart still pitter patters, and that you never expected him to leave. Like you had comfort that he wasn't going anywhere. And I myself feel that way too. Like in my own marriage, I feel like I wake up every single day knowing that I am loved every single day. And that is such a privilege and such a comfort. So to hear you say that back to me about him, I understood that wholeheartedly. There's just a comfort about that without question. So, all right. So tomorrow's Valentine's Day. There's going to be guys out there that are going to screw this up. There's going to be some disappointed girls maybe. So let's just end this with one final tip from each of you, how to get through Valentine's Day successfully.
Let me start, because I think it is true for us. Honestly, our relationship together has so very little to do with one day.
That is exactly what I was going to say.
Right.
Or
Yes.
one moment. I know this is probably, I wish everybody could experience this, but Arlene's the kind of person She's the most selfless person I've ever known. She loves to care about other people and serve other people. And literally tomorrow, I could totally zone out and not even notice it was Valentine's Day and do nothing, and it really wouldn't matter.
But it doesn't matter to me because I know him. I know his heart. I know that John loves me. We don't live in a Hallmark movie. I try not to set myself up for him bringing me flowers or chocolate or anything. If I know that this man loves me every day, February 14th does not matter.
But we'll celebrate. We'll go out to dinner or something and
Okay,
and
I'm
have
gonna.
something nice.
We'll
that
see.
way. Yeah.
We'll see what we do because
we will.
frequently it ends up about other people. But
We'll do that.
but we go out to dinner. I mean, it's not. Our lives are not perfect, but I do feel like our lives are special, and it doesn't depend on one day.
Yeah.
It doesn't.
She'd much rather have a basket of Texas Roadhouse rolls than she would chocolate.
I would.
And there's nothing wrong with that.
No, that's right.
Yes,
That's right.
Yes. Well, thank you so much for being here and exposing yourself and your marriage to everybody today. It was a lot of fun.
Thank you.
Thank
You're
you.
welcome.
Closed captioning for today's program is brought to you by Harry's Construction.
This segment is brought to you by Harry's Construction, whose motto is, "If you can dream it, we can create it." They are the kitchen and bath design experts, so call Harry's Construction for all your remodeling needs. Impact Productions, a multi-layer technology company providing on-site, online, and in-studio video services. Contact Impact Productions to capture your story.
If you know a person or an organization impacting our city, we want to hear about it. You can contact us at 814-944-1948 or by email at stories@jointhecity.org. Dr. Don McClune founded Compassionate Christian Counseling to assist the church and community in helping to meet the needs of people. He was able to share with us what he sees as he counsels couples whose marriages are not what they need to be.
Hi, thanks for being with us today.
My pleasure.
I want to start by asking you to describe a little bit about what your counseling ministry is.
Sure. I started my counseling ministry about 20 years ago, Compassionate Christian Counseling, and I talked to married couples, but I also talked to engaged couples, older people, young kids. I did 30 years of youth ministry, so my heart's still with kids also, but I love what I do and enjoy trying to help people.
So it's mainly couples counseling?
No, I do pretty wide range,
Okay.
whether it be kids or couples or single men, single women, whatever. I just do a lot of them.
What percentage would you say when you're doing couples therapy would be married couples?
Yeah, high percentage then, yes.
And I have a daughter that's recently married, been married a year. Is it unusual to have younger couples who aren't married yet to come in and kind of...
Sure, yeah, and I do a lot of premarital counseling.
Yeah.
And I try to help, because, are you married?
I am.
So you know that, and I tell people, I have young couples sit in front of me going, we're never going to argue, we're never going to fight, we're always going to agree on everything. And I have to give them the bad news that they will have disagreements. Any two people living together under one roof will have conflict. It's how we deal with it. And if we can learn some tricks, it's better to start out knowing some, quote, tricks than... Satan loves divorce, and we have to be very careful So I try to help couples that we don't do that. I hate divorce, but it's rampant in our society.
And divorce happens inside the church as much as
Absolutely.
outside the church.
Sure.
Why do you think that is?
It's an easy question. Me. That's why. In marriage, it's we, but unfortunately, there's a lot of people out there. It's the me.
What would you say are the 3 most frequent issues in a couple that's in conflict?
Well, the top 2 right off the bat is pretty easy. Is financial, money, and second is sex. And then third is we don't talk anymore. Most of the couples I deal with, they don't communicate. And the average in America right now is about 10 minutes a week that couples talk. Now, don't forget we need milk. That's, that happens. But just what we're doing right now, sitting down, no distractions, just talking, it's about 10 minutes per week. So I give homework in my counseling. And I tell couples 10 minutes every day, no distractions, no phone, no TV, no magazines, no newspapers, no pets, no kids, eyeball to eyeball talk. And sometimes it has to be tough subjects, but sometimes it's, hey, what flowers are we going to plant next spring? So.
I think, for myself, I like, because you said that there's no TV, there's
Right.
no dog barking, hey, can you let the dog out? I love just going out to eat, sitting across the table
That's good.
from John, and talk about, doesn't
Sure.
have to be the tough stuff, just
But unfortunately, what happens, and I watch it, I go to a restaurant with Debbie, my wife, and there's couples there with their phones. And I've gone up to couples already and go, it's none of my business, but put your phones away and talk to each other. They don't like that, but I do it.
And unfortunately, sometimes you do have to remind each other that it's
Absolutely.
such a common thing.
I strive to keep my phone in the car when we go out for dinner. I check it when I come back out to the car, but I strive to keep it out of the dinner when Debbie and I are having dinner.
I remember years and years ago, and I don't remember where I heard it from, but I do remember, probably when I was newly married, about the finances being the number one
Yeah.
thing. And it's true.
Yeah, it's just,
true.
it's tough, but it's out there. And, a lot of times young couples are just starting out. Maybe they don't have their, quote, career job yet. And maybe there's children already. And, finances is tough. But, with God, through God, we can do that, And, people say money is the root of all evil. And it's not. It's the love of money, which is altogether different. It's altogether different. So
It is, and as you travel through years of marriage,
Sure.
You have more money. I have more money now than I did when I had 3 kids,
Right.
or even 3 kids in college at the same
Sure.
time, which now I'm able to enjoy it
Right.
because we're allowed to apply that money to do things together that we always kind of wanted to do. But you have
And by
to
the way,
walk.
you mentioned long-term marriage. Because everybody counts years, I count days. So today I've been married 18,884 days. So I keep track of the days.
Very impressive.
That's my weirdness.
But it's worth counting.
Well, yeah,
It's
it
worth
is
counting. Yeah, it says a lot.
So
Yeah.
that's what I do.
So, from a counseling standpoint,
Mm-hmm.
what are a few nuggets that can make a failing marriage better and a good marriage
Mm-hmm.
exceptional?
Another C word, compromise. We need to compromise. And then along with compromise, I tell couples, there's 2 words, understanding and agreeing. And understanding is so important in marriage. We might never get to agreement, but we need to understand each other. Very important. For example, you and I, we just met, but I'm sure there's things we disagree on. But I need to ask you, so why do you feel that way? Well, I feel this way because this and this. Oh, I understand why you feel that way. I don't agree with you, but I understand. And in a marriage, we really need to understand. How do we get to the understanding? It's back to the other C word, communication.
I think too, on social media, we can make anything look the way we want it
Sure.
to look. but not everybody gets to see what goes on behind the scenes.
Absolutely.
And
we don't know, we sit down in church Sunday, we don't know where that couple just came from and things like that. So yeah, it's the communication is just so important. I pound that into couples. You need to talk. It's free. It doesn't even cost anything. You go for a walk and talk. And also dating. I tell couples they need to date once a week. And I have couples, for example, the wife, I would say, this week you plan it. You pay for it. You plan the child care if needed. It's all on your shoulders. Next week, the husband, it's your turn. You plan it. You pay for it. You take child care if needed. You do, and do that every week for the rest of your married life. Do that. It's really important to date. Before we get married, we date. And then after, do I have to date? Yes. So
for those people that are struggling today, there is hope.
Absolutely.
There is hope.
Yes. With God, through God. Absolutely. Because God wants us to have great marriages, and we can have a fantastic marriage. We need to go and get on our knees sometime and say, God, we want you to bless our marriage. And again, that premarital, I'm not trying to drum up business, but that premarital counseling is important to be able to have a successful marriage. But in today, I do a lot of weddings, and unfortunately, they spend thousands of dollars for that open bar. But when I say, we need some counseling, we can't afford counseling, but we need to have that 4-hour open bar, so.
Well, thank you so much
Oh,
for
it's my
being here.
pleasure.
Thank you for all of that valuable information.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Made by Vogel is a father and son business that produces high-quality handmade wooden products such as cutting boards, bowls, bottle stoppers, and more. Products for sale can be found on their Etsy site or in downtown Altoona at the Clay Cup. You can't go wrong buying from Made by Vogel.
As we close out today's show, a few thoughts from a Join the City contributor, Kelly Ferguson, as she shares the Word with Kelly.
Today, the focus will be on God's love for us, and at a later date, we will discuss our love for others. When I looked up the word love, it said it's an intense feeling of deep affection. And although I believe that is part of it, I also believe it's so much more. And to best understand God's love, we must know what the Bible says about it. There are 3 different kinds of love that are discussed in the Bible. Philos, which is the kind of love we have towards friends and family. Eros, it's a more physical form of love. And then agape love. Now this is the highest form of love, and it describes God's love for us. Let's start with a verse that everyone knows that explains this kind of love. John 3:16. For God so loved the world that he gave his one and only Son, that whoever believes in him shall not perish, but have eternal life. He loved us so much that he gave his one and only Son to die for us. There was a time I thought, if he loved us so much, why didn't he die for us? But then I had kids and I understood how this was truly the bigger sacrifice. Love is sometimes flippantly used and for things like, I love my car. I love that shirt you're wearing. Or I love sleeping in. All right, that one may truly describe love. No, I'm just kidding. But as we read the word, we find out the very character of God is love. He is love. God is many things as you discover as you study the word. He is holy. He is merciful. He is faithful. He is forgiving. He is righteous. And he is all-powerful. 1 John 4:16 says, and so we know and rely on the love of God has for us. God is love. Whoever lives in love lives in God, and God in them. And it's never based on how good we are or what we've accomplished. We don't have to get clean to experience this love. We don't have to earn it or buy it. God just chooses to love us. He never said he would love us if we read our Bibles every day or if we go to church. He loves us even if we reject him. His love endures. But we cannot mistake that love for a ticket to heaven. There are consequences when we disobey. You see, I've had to punish my oldest a time or two for choices that he's made. And a few times he's responded with, "You don't love me, especially not as much as you love my little brother." Now, of course, this is not true. My love has not changed, and it never will. It's just in that moment, my love is being expressed differently than how my son wants it to be. God's love can be like this. He only has your best interest at heart. You see, he sees it all, he knows it all, and only desires what's best for you in and through that. Everything that he does is out of love because he loves perfectly. His love is purer than any human heart can truly understand. He loves us more than anything that we love here on earth, which is sometimes why we struggle to grasp this love. Jeremiah 29:13 says, "You will seek me and find me when you seek me with all your heart." Being loved by God is all we've ever needed. We can be completely filled by just loving him and him loving us. And don't you ever think that he doesn't love you. Everything God created is good. So how could we ever think that God created us but doesn't love us? The love of God, it must be our foundation for everything that we stand on. Love is patient. Love is kind. It does not envy. It does not boast. It is not proud. It does not dishonor others. It is not self-seeking. It is not easily angered. It keeps no record of wrongs. Love does not delight in evil, but rejoices with the truth. It always protects, always trusts, always hopes, always perseveres. You see, these verses aren't just speaking of what love we should give. They are speaking of the love that he already gives to us. He is the greatest example of love. And it's a lavish love, it's big, and it's empowering. It fills us with hope, and it lives in each of us if we so desire. We must realize this love and then reflect this love. You will not be disappointed one little bit because his love, it truly is amazing. Have a blessed day.
That's all the time we have today. Thank you for watching Joy in the City, True Stories. Let me encourage you to watch other episodes of people and organizations having an impact on our community on ABC 23 at 5:30 a.m. and 12:30 p.m. every Sunday. You can also catch us each week on our Facebook page and YouTube channel. Until then, be encouraged because God is moving in our city.